It is 6 o'clock in the heart of the Texas Hill Country, and you're listening to Eat, Play, Live with me, Andi P, the show that's chasing dreams and crushing goals. My goal here is to help you live a healthier, happier, more balanced life. And our focus for this year? Learning to love ourselves unconditionally. It is possible. I believe that. So last week we talked about fear and conquering our fear. And if you missed that and you'd like to go back and listen to it, you are always welcome to go to eatplaylive.andy on Facebook. And every single show I've done, pretty much, I think there was one that I had a technical issue. Every other single show I've done is there. So if you missed something and you want to go back, and I try to label them so you can figure out what you're looking at. So I hope you are conquering those fears and stepping into the greatness that lies on the other side of our self-created mountains. Tonight, I want to talk about another little mountain that tends to decorate our terrain, if you will, and that is anxiety, which is not the same as fear, right? I mean, there are some similarities. If you have a lot of fear, I guess maybe that could transition into some anxiety. But anyway, let's not go there. Tonight, we're going to talk about anxiety, that little thing. For me, it's a thing in my stomach where I just feel kind of a knot. Or maybe you feel the tension in your neck of something here is making me anxious and it's just not quite right. So I want to talk about some things like, why does that happen? Where did this all come from? Where did this begin? We weren't born anxious babies, I don't think. There may be some babies that are anxious, but for the most part, we're pretty chill if we're getting what we need. So where does this anxiety come from? What are we doing? What are we putting in our bodies? What are we doing in our minds that's making that worse and could then make it better to make some changes? And we'll just kind of explore that road tonight. So I'm very glad that you're here for this. And I'm going to start, of course, by talking about what we eat, what we're putting in our bodies. And in this case, what we drink. A lot of beverages, if you will, are playing into our anxiety. And that's pretty wild, right? But first on the list is fruit juice. Now, how random is that? That's unexpected, but here's the deal. So the fiber, when you eat a piece of fruit, the fiber in that is going to fill you up and slow down how your blood takes in energy. But without that fiber and you're just drinking juice, what you're drinking is basically nutritious sugar water, and that can quickly hype you up, but then also bring you down just as fast. So what happens when you do that peak and fall is then that leaves you kind of hungry. Your body's like, oh, okay, I got some nutrition, but there's no substance here. And you're also kind of angry about that. So you become hangry. We are all familiar with hangry, I am sure, and it is not a good place to be. Our friends don't like us when we're hangry, so that will not help anxiety or depression for that matter when we're experiencing hangriness. So if you are hungry, eat a whole piece of fruit, organic, and if you're thirsty, drink water. That's going to be your best bet, especially if you're dealing with anxiety. So drink number 2, soda, sugared soda. There is no win for you here. There is no nutritional benefit. It's not nutritious sugar water like juice. It's just sugar and chemicals, and it's just all around bad. And so it's going to cause that same spike and crash without any of the nutritional benefits. So you think, okay, fine, I'll drink diet soda instead because you're always telling me to stay away from sugar, so fine. Well, not fine. Nope. That's not the way that works. So you may not have the energy crash that comes from having too much sugar, but diet soda may actually make you depressed. How weird is that? In fact, it could make you feel even more down, and that, I don't know why that is. I gotta say, it's all those chemicals. Of course, too much caffeine is also bad for anxiety, but there's something in those artificial sweeteners. Anything that has the word artificial in front of it, why would you put that in your body? Why would you put that in your mouth? That's just a bad idea. All right, so let's go on to food. What food could possibly be causing us anxiety or even depression? Well, how about your toast? I know, that sounds random. Toast, waffles, donuts, any of those? Those make me happy, right? Those can't possibly make me anxious. Well, here's the deal. That highly processed white flour, yeah, that quickly turns into your blood sugar after you eat it, and that can cause those same energy spikes and crashes that are really bad for dealing with anxiety. So you can have your toast and eat it too, but just make sure that it's whole grain. Okay. And as for donuts, I can't help you, baby. There are not any whole grain donuts that I have ever encountered. If you know of some, please let me know. Please message me on eatplaylive.andy on Facebook or Instagram, because I need to know if this is a thing that exists in the world. But I highly doubt it. Salad dressing. Another weird one. Another unexpected. You know, you might know, okay, and so you're probably catching on to a little theme here when it comes to sugar being not helpful at all for anxiety or anything else in this world. It's really, really terrible for you. But salad dressing? Well, you know, those pre-packaged dressings and marinades, you know, those are loaded with sugar, right? And sometimes it doesn't say sugar. It says, do you know it? High fructose corn syrup. That is the stuff. Okay, so what about light or sugar-free dressings? Those should be better, right? Same with diet soda. No. In fact, those dressings get their sweetness from aspartame, which is, I want to say, one of the worst artificial sweeteners, but they're just all bad. They're just all chemicals. So, yeah. Skip that. Check the ingredients. Better yet, just make your own dressing at home. Okay? Make your own dressing. It's not that hard. I've done it. And if I can do it, I do not cook. No, I am minimalist food preparation. So if I can do it, I promise you can do it too. Ketchup. And again, going with this theme, what you're going to find out is what's in ketchup is not just tomatoes. It's tomatoes and sugar or high fructose corn syrup. Yeah, lots of it, like 4 grams per tablespoon. You are dipping your French fries in red sugar. Gross. Yeah, stop. And stop with the fries too. Try, not with fries, but if you need to dip something, maybe make some homemade salsa. Salsa is an excellent thing I use it as salad dressing. As a matter of fact, going back to that, it makes an excellent salad dressing. I use it, I'll make a potato with ground beef, put some salsa on that. It's a nice way when you need something to take out the dryness. You know, if you just eat a potato with some ground beef in it, it's kind of dry, you know, and I don't use butter, you know. So salsa, also very good. And I did put a link to an awesome salsa recipe on my Facebook. Now the recipe has sugar, but it's optional. So just skip it. You will never notice. I promise you, you will never notice. I am a salsa connoisseur from way back. I had a doctor once tell me he was going to put salsa in an IV for me because I ate so much of it. So yeah, it's a thing. So you don't need sugar. I promise. You can leave it out and you will not know the difference. All right. On our list of food and or beverages that can be bad for anxiety, coffee showed up on my list, and I'm not happy about that. I don't like that. But I'm sure you, as well as I did, could guess what the deal is with coffee. It's the caffeine. And that makes sense, right? I mean, if we're feeling anxious and we add caffeine to that, that's just going to do something. It's going to amp that up, right? It makes sense. And if you're one of those people who puts sugar in your coffee, all right, well, now you're just double duty here with sugar and the caffeine, and you're just on the road to having the jitters. Yeah, oh, you know what I've done before? If you want to kind of reduce the caffeine, if you make a full pot of coffee, just put in, like, say you're going to do 5 scoops, right? Put in 2 scoops of decaf and then 3 scoops of your regular. And so that just cuts the caffeine a little bit, but you really don't notice. You don't notice that you've made that little adjustment. So that is a little tip or trick that can help you out so that you're not feeling quite so jittery or anxious as you start your day. Now, if you're a non-coffee drinker and you like to get your caffeine in a can in the form of energy drinks, well, you know they're terrible for you. They're so, oh my gosh. And I'm going to admit, I hate to admit when I'm bad, but I like Bang. I like Bang. They're so sweet, and they have artificial sweetener. Oh my gosh. I know. Shoot me. I know. It's so bad. They list all these great things that are in it. It's like, oh, it's got BCAAs and creatine. It's so good for you. It is not good for you. It's not. It's not. And it's like 3 cups of coffee in that can. So, yeah. Energy drinks can cause weird heart rhythms, anxiety, sleep issues. And the thing is, it's not always easy to tell how much caffeine is in those because they have things like guarana, which, whether or not you even know what that is, it contains super high levels of caffeine. And then a lot of those drinks also have a lot of sugar, or they're going to have sugar or artificial sweetener. There's no getting around it because they want to be sweet and they want you to crave them. And we do. And then we're anxious and we don't know why. And what about alcohol? Well, that seems like it would have the opposite effect, right? Alcohol keeps us chill, makes us more calm. Like, I've had a hard day. I'm really stressed out. I need a drink to calm down. Well, yeah, but the thing is with alcohol is it can mess up your sleep. So then, not enough rest, higher levels of anxiety, and possibly depression. So, or if you drink so much that you just pass right out and you sleep too much, well, that also can cause problems. So yes, a drink can calm you down. It can make you more social. That can actually be good for your mental health, to be able to calm down and go out and have a drink. But the key is how much, right? So they recommend 1 drink for women, 2 drinks for men. Don't shoot the messenger here. I'm just saying. I know. I understand. Yeah, but you don't want to go overboard here. Okay? When you crash, that girl that used to always cry, she'd get drunk and cry. Yeah, we don't want to be that girl. All right. Icing on the cake. It's the sugar, right? You have cake and it has icing. It's got to be the sugar. Well, yes, of course, but that's not all. Frosting is also loaded with around 2 grams of trans fats per serving. Those are linked to depression. Sometimes they're called partially hydrogenated oils. You may have seen that on the labels, since I know you're all reading your labels, since I tell you to do that all the time. But these partially hydrogenated oils, or trans fats, are also found in, remember I mentioned French fries earlier? Yeah. Fried food, pizza dough, cakes, cookies, crackers. I know, I'm sorry I'm hurting you, but all those things, yeah, all that stuff has got trans fats. So yes, check your labels. If you do eat fat, let's make it the good kind that you get from good, real food like nuts and avocados and fish. That's right. Those can lift your mood, where the icky stuff is going to send you crashing. Here's an unexpected one. This one really surprised me. Soy sauce. What? I know. Well, this one's actually just for people who are sensitive to gluten, because in addition to breads, noodles, pastries, there's gluten in prepackaged foods like soy sauce. Weird, right? So if you are sensitive to that, it could aggravate anxiety or depression and kind of make you feel sluggish. So not your best. We don't want that, right? We want to feel good and balanced and healthy. Processed foods of any kind. If you eat a lot of processed meat, fried food, refined cereals, candy, pastries, high-fat dairy, all of that kind of stuff, well, you're more likely to be anxious. And on the flip side, a diet full of whole, fiber-rich grains, fruits, vegetables, fish, those keep you on a more even keel. Yeah. And when we're on an even keel and we're feeling good, then we have more energy and more desire to get out and play. Yes, let's talk about playtime. So I got to thinking about anxiety. In fact, yesterday I came up with this thought because I was driving by the school playground and I was just noticing the groups of kids that were out on the playground playing, and just kind of took me back to those days. Do you remember elementary school and playground dynamics? You know, you've got groups of kids that are playing together, huddled together, clearly interacting, having a good old time. And then I saw a bunch of kids on the swings, and they may not be in as big a group, but there were at least two taking turns and pushing each other. Aw, isn't that cool? Like, yeah, I'll help you out. You help me out. We got this. And then there's kids climbing on the jungle gym. I'm the king of the mountain. I am going to climb to the top. And then you see the kids that are just kind of off on the sidelines, kind of shy, kind of awkward, maybe hanging out with the teacher. Is that the beginning? Is that where anxiety starts? I don't know. I don't have the answer to that, but I just couldn't help but think about that, you know? Remember Red Rover? Red Rover, Red Rover, let Andi come over. Well, I feel like that game would cause me anxiety because part of me wanted them to call me, but part of me didn't, because if they call your name, they want you to run toward them, but if they don't call your name, you don't have to run toward them. So, there's kind of, so I don't know, maybe anxiety is why we've stopped playing. Oh, that's so hard. And then most of us as teenagers went through periods of anxiety, of course, related to puberty. All of a sudden, our bodies start changing and our feelings about other people start getting a lot more complicated, and suddenly we're worried about what other people think, and we're worried about how we look or how we sound or how we talk or how we breathe. I mean, anything, we've all been teenagers, right? Oh, it's such a hard time. And definitely teenagers start to struggle with anxieties of some sort or another. Oh my gosh. And when I was a teen, I hate to date myself, but we didn't have cell phones. We didn't have social media. We didn't have internet. We didn't have any of that stuff. So, oh my gosh, what today's teens are dealing with, their Instagram accounts, their Twitter accounts, their TikTok, all of that stuff, they're constantly, whatever platform they're choosing to put their photos or their thoughts or their feelings out for the world, for the attention, the evaluation, the applause, the critique, the condemnation. Here's the deal. You don't get to say how people respond. You put it out there, or your kids or grandkids or whomever are putting it out there, and it's just open for people to say whatever they want. And some people are just nasty. So, that causes me anxiety just thinking about that. Thinking about teenagers having to deal with that kind of pressure. Oof, we thought playground dynamics were tough to navigate. Man. And then we grow up and our lives get much, much simpler and we have no more anxiety triggers, right? Yeah, right. Sure. I don't know if you're like me, but when my phone rings, my anxiety skyrockets. I know, I'm one of those weirdos, but I have determined and discovered that a lot of people have phone anxiety like I do. I, I don't know what the deal is with that. And especially now, I mean, you can see who's calling. My best friend, spam risk, right? So why we still, I can't explain it. I can't explain it. But so some of us have weird little anxieties. I'm sure there are lots more. Ooh, you should message me and tell me what kind of weird anxieties you have, because I think it would be fun to know. But anyway, there are some that we all share, right? Finances in the future. It's easy to be anxious about that. Am I gonna have enough money to retire or go on vacation? Or is the future gonna look the way I thought it was gonna look? Those kind of things can cause that anxiety. Maybe job security or your health. You know, you're struggling with something and there's a lot of uncertainty out there, and that can certainly cause anxiety. Or relationships. Oh, well, anytime you bring other people into the equation, well, you just never know what you're going to get. So I posted a link to a book on Facebook that I really have gotten a lot of help from. It's called Attached. So if you tend to be anxious in relationships, that's actually a relational style. Yeah. So there are 3 styles. There's secure, anxious, and avoidant. So it's interesting. It's interesting to read it and think about which one you are, and then which one the people in your life, maybe your significant other, what they are, and you really start to see why certain conflicts happen and why you might react in a certain way, especially if you are the anxious type, as I am. So, yes. So what do we do? All right, anxiety. We don't know where it came from, but we're all living with it to some degree or another. Maybe it's a little slight, and maybe you have it super severe, you know, have to take medication. That's okay. That's okay. It's not your fault, because the deal is everyone experiences anxiety from time to time. It's an entirely normal response to stress. But if it becomes chronic or it starts interrupting your daily life, then it may actually be a disorder, which is also common. So in fact, in the United States, more people struggle with anxiety disorders than any other mental condition. This equates to around 40 million adults are dealing with anxiety disorders. And it doesn't discriminate, okay? It can be any age, both sexes. In staggering numbers, however, statistics do say that women tend to have a slightly higher tendency than men to be anxious. And I mean, this may be kind of a cultural thing. Many men aren't going to admit that they're struggling with something, because that's going to make them look weak and they can't ask for help. And so the statistics could be completely off, just because men are not going to tell us how they feel. I know. I'm not going to comment on that. Anxiety can come in different forms. It's an umbrella term that it describes really more of a set of symptoms. And even those symptoms vary in severity, but there's actually quite a few different types of anxiety disorders. Okay. You have generalized anxiety disorder, panic disorder, social anxiety, specific phobias. Man, there's a lot of stuff to be anxious about. In fact, PTSD and OCD are also highly associated with anxiety because of their symptoms, right? And then sometimes they compound. Somebody who has OCD might start to get panicky if they can't carry out their compulsions and calm their thoughts, and then it just compounds. Whew. And then it can exist. I know. It just keeps getting better, right? If it wasn't bad enough on its own, anxiety actually likes to walk hand in hand with other issues, such as bipolar disorder, eating disorders, depression. Yeah, some of the leading mental health concerns in the world, and anxiety just grabs right on for that ride. So it's estimated that half of people with an anxiety disorder will also experience depression as well. So if you've ever noticed a tendency toward that, you are not alone. And it's actually unknown why, but it may just be that they kind of have similar biological mechanisms in the brain and therefore have overlapping symptoms. Yeah. So because of this, anxiety disorders and depression, sometimes they can treat them both with an antidepressant, just one and knocks them both out. So that's okay. If that's the route you need to take, absolutely talk to your doctor about that. And anxiety can have several different symptoms, right? While fear, worrying, dread, those are kind of like the hallmark traits. The disorders can present themselves in several different ways. So, for instance, the most common signs of an anxiety disorder, other than persistent worrying over a prolonged period of time, are restlessness, insomnia, fatigue, an increase in heart rate, body temperature, palpitations, sweating, tremors, and the stomach thing that I talked about, or even like real stomach issues. All right. One of my children went through a time in school where anxiety became such a problem. The school nurse would call me every day. Every day he would throw up. There was no reason. We could not figure out why. We did tests, the doctor. It was simply a response to anxiety. And we never figured out exactly what brought it on, but it went away as mysteriously as it started. So, whew, thank goodness for that. There's a lot going on there. And so you see, like, anxiety can be impairing. You know, it's a completely normal biological response in many cases, but if it's chronic, it can be so destructive, or at the very least detrimental to your social life, school, getting work done. I mean, it can really be hard. And then it can cause or increase your risk of addiction, because we tend to be little do-it-yourselfers. You know, we don't want to tell the doctor we're suffering with something. So a lot of people start finding other coping mechanisms to help take the edge off, even if it's just for a moment. So they might grab a cigarette to calm down, or have a drink, or do certain types of drugs, or comfort food, right? Those foods that are high in fats and sugars that I was talking about earlier in the show, they seem like they're providing relief. All of these things seem like they're providing relief, but it's so short. And then back down the rabbit hole. So if you need to have a few drinks to be more comfortable socially, yeah, it totally seems, and it is normal. It is totally normal. Just be careful if you feel like you're using it as a crutch. All right. Just watch out for that. So why? Why is all this? What are the causes? Well, of course, there's no single cause, you know, not for one person, not for millions of people. And some of the causes are completely not under your control, right? Your genetics, your biological processes, your brain chemistry, life events, environmental factors. Any of these, or a little bit of all of these, can work together and lead to the development of anxiety, and then substance abuse and stress and all the caffeine and sugar and all the stuff that I talked about earlier. Whew. Yeah, the odds are kind of stacked against us that we're going to get through life without any anxiety. So what can we do about it? All right, let's quickly figure out how to nip this and take care of it. Well, it's estimated that only 36% of individuals with actual anxiety disorders will even ever reach out and get help. So it's really hard to have an official diagnosis. But if you do, or someone you know, psychotherapy can be an effective tool. Cognitive behavioral therapy. So what that is desensitizing you to the objects that cause your anxiety. For me, like the phone thing, I would have to be desensitized, maybe forced to just answer the phone a whole bunch until I get over it. I don't know how that works. I'm not a doctor, but that can be another avenue you might want to check into. Staying active. Yes, you know this one is near and dear to my heart. Bring back the play. Put more play in your life, and it will help bring down the anxiety. Yoga. How much can I stress this? There's just something about it. It makes you calm. It might be the music or the nice soft voice instructor. It's all the things. It's just all the things. But if that's not what you're into, long walks, long bike rides, they don't have to be super strenuous, but moving your body and getting your blood flowing and getting sunshine and fresh air, that's going to bring down your anxiety. Watch what you're putting in your body. Yep. Watch the alcohol, watch the caffeine, watch the sugar, watch the trans fats, all the things I know you're doing anyway, because I'm telling you to do them all the time. Get more sleep. Get more sleep. That will help you in so many areas of your life. Then meditate. Try meditating if you've never tried it, or just practicing mindfulness, being just very aware of your present moment. And your thoughts will come in. Just notice them. Don't judge them. Just let them come and let them go. And breathe. Practice deep breathing. Oh, man, that's something I have to tell you. When I'm feeling really anxious, 4 counts breath in, hold for 4, 4 counts breath out, hold for 4. That just brings you in. It brings you in and calms you down. You can try aromatherapy with some essential oils, like orange tends to make you feel happier. Lavender makes you feel more calm. I'm going to have to do a show more focusing more on essential oils, because I'm not an expert in this, but I do use several of them for a lot of different purposes. And yeah, there's something there. There's something interesting about that. Chamomile tea is a home remedy that a lot of people rely on. So before you go get your tea, how about this? Love yourself. Let's bring it back around. Relieve your anxiety by just loving yourself right where you're at. Let it go. That need to be perfect, that need to please other people, that need to present some kind of image, whether it's in person or social media or wherever, in the workplace. Let that stuff go. And just love your awesome, amazing, wonderful self. When you let that go and you're not worried about other people judging and whatever, let them do what they do. Don't you get anxious because of whatever's going on in their head. You can't control it. You didn't cause it. You can't control it. You can't cure it. That's right. Just let it go. So, we can rest easy. It's Thursday. It's Cinco de Mayo. Happy Cinco de Mayo. Salud. Have yourself a, oh no, I better not suggest you have a drink because I've been talking about. Okay, just one. One for women, 2 for men. Then you can have yourself a, I don't know, what's your favorite Mexican? Maybe a Dos Equis or anyway, or a margarita. Yeah. Oh, dang, that's got sugar. Just stop. Okay, stop me. I'm going to stop. Rest easy, knowing the weekend is almost here. It's Mother's Day weekend. Happy Mother's Day to all the moms out there, to my moms. I love y'all, and I hope you all have a wonderful weekend. I'm Andi P, reminding you to love yourself well and know that you are not alone in whatever it is you might be facing. We are a tribe, and I am so grateful that you're a part of it. Yeah, I think you're pretty awesome. So until next week, thanks for tuning in to Eat, Play, Live. Peace out.